Yep, you're live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our question and answer period for Mediterranean living. And also, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an introduction to the Mediterranean diet. But to begin with, my name is Bill Bradley, and I'm a registered dietitian. I've been specializing in the Mediterranean diet for the past 20 years. And I started by working in a hospital when I first became a dietitian. And this hospital was working with people that had already had a heart attack and were trying not to have them have a second heart attack. And the cardiologist I worked with, he recommended the Mediterranean diet. And that's when I started learning about the Mediterranean diet and its amazing power to heal not only heart disease, but diabetes, and it can help arthritis and Alzheimer's and dementia and diabetes and just on and on. It has many, many health effects, and we'll talk about that as we go. And so I'm going to be answering questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And Winter is here with me. Come around just for a second and say hi, Winter.
All right.
Winter is going to be manning the computer and helping with any issues you might have, but he'll be asking the questions as we go.
Totally. I'll be in the chat.
All right. Thank you, Winter.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with the Mediterranean diet. So 20 years ago, I started learning about the diet when I was working with this cardiologist. And then I decided that I should actually go to the Mediterranean because I'd already started learning a lot from books and websites. And I wanted to find out what the true Mediterranean diet really was. And what I quickly discovered was that when I got to the Mediterranean, I went to the Greek island of Crete. And I went to that island because traditionally they're known to be the healthiest people in the world. They have the highest longevity rates in the world. The men live to be the same age as the women do, which is not true in many other countries around the world. And the people there just are full of passion, and they love their lives, and they love the food that they eat. And it shows not only by them really being happier, but also by their health. And I would see people there that were in their 80s and 90s, and they were, doing like swimming, they were biking, they were doing all kinds of gardening and things that you might not think that people that age would be doing. But they're very vibrant and very healthy. And so what I discovered when I went there was that what I thought was a real Mediterranean diet was not. And what I was learning on websites and from books was not the true Mediterranean diet. And so my real goal since then has been to keep learning and finding out what the real Mediterranean diet is and to share it with all of you. And one of the things that we've done, we have lots of like recipe developers in the Mediterranean, and they have provided us with hundreds and hundreds of authentic Mediterranean diet recipes. But we've also created some programs like our Mediterranean Diet Weight Loss Program, our Mediterranean Way program. Those are both 10-week programs, our Mediterranean 30 program. And just so you know, because it's Sunday, on Sunday at 6 o'clock, about an hour, is the last time you can sign up for our Mediterranean Diet portal and register for one of these programs that start tomorrow. So I think we have about 50 minutes left, so I'll mention that a couple of times as we go. So when I went to the Mediterranean, there's a lot of things that I learned. And these are the things that I teach in our programs and our webinars, but I want to tell you some of the tips that I learned when I was in the Mediterranean and all the other times that I've been in the Mediterranean since. And these things are what I'm really teaching you is what the authentic Mediterranean diet really is. So to begin with, first of all, I want to make sure that if you have questions that you put them in the chat, and we'll get to a question period really quickly, and then I will answer the questions. I also have questions on these index cards from people that had questions from our membership groups and also from our social media, from our YouTube and Facebook and all of those places. So I'm going to answer some of those questions as well. But I also have on here tips for the Mediterranean diet. And so I'm just going to go through some of these tips. The first one is learn about the authentic Mediterranean diet. So again, I said that when I went there, I learned that much of what I thought was the true Mediterranean diet was not at all the real Mediterranean diet. First of all, if you go to most Mediterranean websites, what they'll say, like for example with olive oil, you'll often see in a recipe like 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a recipe for like a stew or a casserole. But if you go to the really healthy places in the Mediterranean, like in Crete, I found a book before I actually went the first time, a cookbook, like a traditional Cretan cookbook. Most of the recipes had 2 cups of olive oil in it. And this is really essential because in the Mediterranean, where people are the healthiest, they eat lots and lots of olive oil. And a lot of people in this country get afraid that if they eat too much olive oil, they're going to gain weight, or that it's going to be bad for them. Like some people think that having olive oil is actually going to be bad for your cholesterol. Well, the opposite is actually true. And olive oil, the Mediterranean diet, is very good for decreasing cholesterol. And we'll get to that we actually have a question about that as well. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. So one of the things is that in the authentic Mediterranean diet is that they eat lots of extra virgin olive oil. Another thing that I discovered is, and this is another tip, is making vegetables the main part of your everyday diet. And, I've said this many times, but in America, the average person eats 2.5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And in the Mediterranean, they're eating like 9 to 15 servings a day. So that means even at breakfast, if you're having eggs, they might have like a spinach omelet. If you're having yogurt, they would have lots of fruit with the yogurt. And so to get that many servings, they're basically eating vegetables for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and for their in-between snacks. We stopped one time at an art place it was like an art colony in Crete, and they invited us for their afternoon snack. And the afternoon snack were sardines, which we'll talk about in a few minutes as well, and salad and cheese and bread. And you think about snacks that you might have here, they might be like chips or candy bar or something like that. They would not have anything like that for any of their meals, especially their snacks. So these are just a few of the things that I learned right away when I was in Crete. So I'm going to pick another tip. So this is actually a good one, talking about what we were just talking about, taking processed foods out of your diet. And so processed foods, more than anything, are what cause most of the health issues that you see around the world, especially in the US, because they're full of sugar, processed sugars, they're full of processed carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, usually some kind of chemicals, preservatives. If you look at a can of like certain types of potato chips or a jar of potato chips, you know, the ones that come in the jar or in the can, there are certain ones that I've seen that have like 40 ingredients in it. Potato chips should have at the most 3 ingredients. Really, we shouldn't be eating too many potato chips anyways, but you don't want to get something that has this huge list of ingredients next to a food. So you want to try to stay away from processed foods. And that's one of the great things about the Mediterranean diet is that it's full of delicious whole foods. And like I said, it starts with vegetables, lots and lots of vegetables, and then there's olive oil and fresh herbs and spices. And if you haven't tried eating this way, I highly recommend that you do. I've worked with a lot of like fire departments, firemen and policemen, policewomen, policemen, and what I found was that when I first went to work with them, they basically were like, I don't like any of this kind of food. I don't like beans. I don't like vegetables. But then when I started cooking in the Mediterranean way with lots of olive oil and herbs and spices, it turned out that they absolutely loved it. And when I would go back like a year later, they would say like, I've been making your Greek salad. We make it almost every day because we love it so much. And so it's really important that you try some recipes. And you can go to our website, mediterraneanliving.com. We have hundreds of recipes there. Also, if you join the portal, we have meal plans and recipes for both weight loss and just regular meal plans if you just want to try the Mediterranean diet. And again, 6 p.m. is when when the registration ends for that for tomorrow's programs. Okay, so do we have any questions yet on there?
Yeah, we've got some questions coming in.
Okay.
Our first question came in from Princess Fluffy.
Okay.
Who asked, could you give a list of books about the Mediterranean diet as well as cookbooks from countries around the Mediterranean?
Yes. So as far as cookbooks, I would highly recommend any like Italian books by Marcella Hazan. The Essential Cuisine of Italy is one of her books. Also, Diane Kochilas has written over 25 different books from Greece, and her books are really great, and her recipes are very tasty and easy. We actually visited her on the Greek island of Ikaria, where they have the highest rate of people to live to be over 100 in the world. And so I would recommend any book by her. We have a cookbook, which we're going to auction off, which is Foods of Crete, Traditional Recipes from the Healthiest People in the World. And I wrote this with a woman from Crete, and she hand wrote 110 family recipes. And so I would recommend that too. You can get that on Amazon or our website. If you want to get it quick, get it on Amazon. And let me think who else. A general cookbook or a general book about the Mediterranean diet. There's a few. We're actually working on one right now, so hopefully I think in the next month we'll have one out. But there's a beginner's guide to eating the Mediterranean diet by Elena Parventes. That's a really good one. There's a book, I'm drawing a blank on the name right now, but it's by Andrew Weil and Molly Katzen, and it's a book with Mediterranean recipes in it. And also there's a few books by Walter Willett that if you get his cookbook or a book about the Mediterranean diet, those are both really good books as well. So we did one. We did one from that's live now, but I'm going to ask one of the questions that was sent to us. This is from Ava. Can you use avocado oil in the diet? And so you can use avocado oil in the Mediterranean diet. Like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil is high in monounsaturated fats, which means that it's a good olive oil for you. The only thing is, I wouldn't use it as your only olive or your only oil, because it's much lower in polyphenols than olive oil. And polyphenols are so good for you, and I think a big part of why people in the Mediterranean are so healthy. So I would use avocado oil sparingly, and not use it a ton, but you could use it a little bit. It has a higher smoking point than olive oil, but one of the things that has been discovered recently is that olive oil, even if you cook above the smoking point, is probably the best oil for cooking and frying, because it doesn't break down. And so it makes it so that it keeps a lot of the healthy the healthy things that are in the olive oil. And so it's something that is super good for you and super important. So that's why I would choose olive oil over avocado oil. Let's talk. Let's do one more tip, and then we'll answer some more questions. So let's see. We did the vegetables. Let's talk about olive oil. So you definitely want to use extra virgin olive oil. That's what they use all over the Mediterranean. It's one of the things that, even though there's so many countries around the Mediterranean Sea, that the Mediterranean diet is all the food of all of those countries. And so that, might seem like there's tons of different foods, and there's lots of different recipes in the different places, but there's basic things that are true for all of these places around the Mediterranean, and one of them is that they all use extra virgin olive oil. And it's really important that you get a really good olive oil, because when you have a good olive oil, it means it's higher in the polyphenols, and the polyphenols are super good for you, anti-inflammatory. Again, they've been showing lately that it might reduce the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's really important that you get a good olive oil. And so you can choose a good olive oil. We have one that we recommend that we could put on in the link for the Terra Creta olive oil. That's a really great olive oil. If you want a super high polyphenol oil, like really, really high, you have to pay more for it, but it's like a medicinal quality olive oil. You can get that from Zoeful. So either one of those I would choose, but definitely the Terra Creta brand is an affordable brand that is really tasty and still has a lot of polyphenols in it. So another tip is changing your proteins. So here in America, people eat, their main protein eaten is meat. And in the Mediterranean, the main protein eaten are beans. And so what you want to do, you don't have to switch over overnight, but you want to start to focus more on beans and less on meat if you can. It takes away a lot of inflammation when you stop eating meat as much. And again, I'm not saying not to eat it at all. They eat meat in the Mediterranean, but to just cut back. And beans are full of fiber. They're good for your gut microbiome. They're good for your digestion. And they reduce risks of cancer and heart disease. And so those are a few things that you should know about protein. The last thing I'll say about that is that with like eating meat, the way that they do it there is that instead of having like a huge steak or a huge hamburger, they'll take like a pound of meat and they'll put it into a stew, and that way you are eating a pound, but you're might be 8 to 10 servings, so you're only getting like an ounce of meat. And then they might be adding beans and vegetables and olive oil and all the things that are going to make it super tasty. All right, let's do a couple more questions.
Okay, sounds
You got
good.
one over there, Winter?
Yeah, and before I ask the next question, I just wanted to give a shout out to Catherine Miller, who's here tonight, who just signed up for our membership
Oh,
program.
awesome.
So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Catherine, and welcome to the community. The question that I'm seeing next is, how many calories is too few? It's a question from Matt from New York.
Okay. When you said, I just want to say that welcome to the community when Winter said that. So we're very proud of our community, and we have a big Facebook community that once you join a program, then you get to join the Facebook community. But also, we have, in the last year, we've had over 700 new members. And so these are our community, and we like to support you, but we also like it when people support each other. So welcome to the community. And so the question was, about fewer calories? Say it again.
Yeah, how many calories is too few? Matt just wrote in specifying, it's because I'm doing a calorie deficit for a specific short-term event, and I wondered if the med diet would require too many calories for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a kind of a basic question for really any diet. The good thing about the Mediterranean diet is that it's so full of nutrients that if you were going to do a really deficient calorie program, that it's probably one of the best because there's so many nutrients in it and you're going to be giving your body lots of good stuff. Like when we're talking about weight loss, we never want to have a big deficiency in calories because when you do, you are basically setting yourself up for failure. So I personally lost 50 pounds eating the Mediterranean diet, and I did it slowly, like a pound per week at the most. And that is how I've been able to keep it off for over a decade, because if you if you see these people that have lost 50 pounds in like a couple of months, almost 100% of those people are going to gain the weight back. So it's super important that you have a very small calorie deficiency every day and that you do it over time for many reasons. One is if you lose weight too fast, your whole body fights back and it's just going to try to make you gain the weight back. And also, if you're cutting too much on calories, you're going to have cravings. Now, you're talking about a very specific event. Usually, we'd have to talk more. Maybe I could talk to him, maybe get his email or something, and we could talk more about that.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna put a email in the chat, manager@mediterraneanliving.com, and if you want to send an email, you're totally welcome to do that. We look forward to it.
Here's another question that was written in. This is from Mona. My husband had a major illness that required 4 months of IV antibiotics followed by 3 months of oral antibiotics. What are your recommendations for helping him restore his gut microbiome? Yeah, that's pretty serious attack on the gut microbiome. I hope he's feeling better. But basically, to get your gut microbiome back, there's a number of things. The Mediterranean diet has been shown to improve the gut microbiome because, for one thing, it has a big variety of fruits and vegetables. And they've shown that if you can get 20 to 30 different types of fruits and vegetables in a week, that is one of the best ways to improve your gut microbiome. And in our Mediterranean 30 program, we even have a challenge to try to do that, to try to get 20 different fruits and vegetables in a week. And it doesn't mean you have to eat a ton of each one, but like if you had like a salad, you have a lettuce, that's one, carrots maybe, cucumbers, tomatoes, maybe you'd put in pickles or something like that. You could you could put raisins, because that's also, or some kind of fruit, other types of fruit. So you could easily get 8 to 10 different types of fruits and vegetables in one salad. But the idea is, and this is a big part of the Mediterranean diet. We just made a video with somebody who was talking about this, that in the Mediterranean you're raised with eat your colors, meaning eat as many different varieties of food as you can with lots and lots of color. And that's one way to improve your gut microbiome. Also, olive oil helps improve your gut microbiome, as well as eating fermented foods. And so both prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics would be like an apple. Prebiotics help the probiotics. But probiotics might be sauerkraut, fermented pickles, anything fermented is going to really help your gut microbiome. So those are my two biggest suggestions. First, lots of variety of fruits and vegetables. And second, eating fermented foods. Yogurt is another one that's a really healthy fermented food.
Before you go on, Bill, I just wanted to also shout out Peggy Wilkins, who's here tonight, who just signed up for our membership as well.
Awesome. Welcome to the membership.
Yeah, welcome, Peggy.
Welcome to the community. And then, do you have another question over
Yeah,
there?
there's another question here. Deborah Blackwell, who actually is in the weight loss program right now, and she's lost 4 pounds so far. She's wondering she says, I often can't eat the full amount of calories. Is that okay? I've lost 4 pounds this week since last Monday. Oh, wow. This week since last Monday.
Okay.
Impressive.
So, first of all, congratulations on 4 pounds in a week. Usually, oftentimes when you start, you lose more weight, because if you're going from like however you were eating before and then going to more a really healthy Mediterranean diet, your body kind of detoxes, loses some of the water in your body, and so 4 pounds is awesome. The second part of that question is super important. We have different levels of meal plans, but if you're eating and it feels like too much, you should definitely stop. You don't want to like overeat ever, and you want to try to really pay attention to your hunger cues. And there's a famous saying, a Japanese saying, hara hachibu, which is eat to 80% of fullness. And if you're trying to lose weight, you want to try to feel just mildly hungry throughout the day. Not hangry. You never want to be hangry. You don't want to be so hungry that you're mad. You want to just have a mild hunger. So if you're eating one of our plans and you feel like you're eating too much, then you want to eat a little bit less. But don't go overboard, just a little bit less, and see how that goes. I'm going to, how are we doing on time here?
It's
5:30.
about 5:30.
Okay. So we have a half an hour again before the time to sign up for tomorrow's Mediterranean weight loss program, or Mediterranean Way program, or our 30-day clean eating program, the Mediterranean 30. And then you do that, you would sign up for our Mediterranean portal, which is $99, and that's for an entire year of programs. And when you do that, you not only get those 3 programs, but you're going to get regular meal plans. You're going to get an authentic recipe every week. You get access to webinars, and we're going to have a lot of new webinars in the next few months, because we're going to the Mediterranean, and we're also working on a new book. And you also get access to our Facebook support group, and more. There's more. So you have 30 minutes today to register for that. I just wanted to read a email that I got this week I wanted to share some good news. I've lost 30 pounds since starting the Mediterranean Living weight loss program. I follow several meals in the meal plans, but over time I have embraced and learned Mediterranean living and know how to make substitutions that are consistent with the Mediterranean diet and are within the calories to continue to lose weight. With Mediterranean living, the Mediterranean diet, and other sources, I have adapted my way of eating and feel it's the first time in my life that I have a sustainable and healthy lifestyle. I move daily, walking most days over 10,000 steps. Thank you for Mediterranean living and your expertise. So we get lots of those kind of emails. I think it's the reason that I wanted to read that is just to let somebody else tell you about their success. And when I lost 50 pounds, it took me almost 2 years. And I did a lot of things. I started my own hiking program, 120-day hiking program, and I hiked every day for that time period. I made YouTube videos about it, and I ate the Mediterranean diet, and I also worked on some of my emotional cues around hunger because I tended to overeat when I was stressed out, or when I was doing anything. If I was upset, if I was stressed, if I was happy, if I was depressed, I would eat. And so I had to do some work around that too. So the Mediterranean diet, doing some emotional work around my stress, and moving all helped me to lose the 50 pounds. Let me do one more question here. Here's one that's an interesting one. The Mediterranean diet emphasizes beans, pulses, and less red meat. But what would you recommend for someone with IBS, that's irritable bowel syndrome, or other stomach issues who have trouble tolerating beans and pulses? Also, how might the diet be adapted for someone who tends to be borderline anemic and may need more red meat? So let's start with the IBS issue. So the Mediterranean diet is an anti-inflammatory diet, and IBS is an inflammatory disease. So generally, the Mediterranean diet is a good diet for someone who has IBS. But the issue is that there are often certain foods that cause more of a problem. For example, for a lot of people, garlic causes a problem. For some people, beans cause a problem. And there's something called the FODMAP diet that you may have heard of, which is an elimination diet where you can kind of figure out over 6 weeks which foods are best for you, which foods are harmful. And then you can make decisions around that. But as far as beans, if you have an IBS issue, first of all, you don't have to have beans, but they are something that are super healthy for you. So I would recommend beans if you can eat them. But with IBS, there are certain things, like when we're talking about FODMAPs, I'm not going to get all into FODMAPs right now, but the more FODMAPs in a food, the more of an issue somebody with IBS might have. So if somebody has an issue with beans, there are certain beans like red lentils that have much less FODMAP, so you could have a small amount of beans. There's also like canned chickpeas tend to have less FODMAP, so you could have hopefully a small amount, which would also lend you to having hummus. Of course, there's garlic and hummus, so if you have an issue with garlic, then you can either use the garlic infused oil, which is fine, or we just found out this week, because we'll be releasing a video this Friday about a traditional hummus from the Middle East, that most hummuses from the Mediterranean actually don't have garlic in it. And so you can actually take the garlic out. And so you can have different types of nuts. You could have tahini generally. Again, you have to find out what kind of affects you in your IBS. So there's certain beans that you can try and try smaller amounts, and also serve them with other foods so that you're not just eating the beans, like having other foods that don't affect you can be helpful. And then the other part was about people who, or she was borderline anemic and may need more red meat. So there are other ways to improve your iron levels besides just eating red meat. Now, you could increase your red meat some, like a lean red meat a couple times a week is fine. But for one thing, if you, I could just happen to have one right here, if you cook in a cast iron pan, this is going to give you more iron. If you have vegetables that have iron in it, like spinach, and then add vitamin C food with it, it's going to improve the iron. And so, for example, we have a recipe for spinach and feta and lemon juice. And that recipe would be really good for somebody if they want to improve their iron levels. The other thing with iron is you could have seafoods and like seafoods like oysters that have lots of iron in them. Okay, so another question?
5:36. Yeah, we got a bunch of questions in the
Okay.
chat. The next question that I'm seeing is pork all right to eat? That's from Susan. And then from Metal Cat Mom, in regards to protein, how often should we eat chicken, fish, and eggs? So sort of related.
Okay, so first of all, pork is eaten in the Mediterranean. When you think of prosciutto and other types of ham, it's eaten in Spain. We have a recipe in our Foods of Crete book, which we are going to be giving away very soon, for pork with green beans. And so they do eat pork there. It's not as important the type of meat eaten as how much is eaten. So again, pork with green beans, it's a stew. So you're using a pound of meat and you're serving a lot of people. So it's fine to eat, some pork. And then as far as how much meat,
Chicken, fish, and eggs.
chicken, fish, and eggs.
How often should we eat them?
How often? Okay, so fish generally is eaten a few times a week in the Mediterranean, usually a fatty fish, because that's where you get your omega-3 fats from. And so it's super important to try to get fatty fish like albacore tuna, salmon, haddock, herring, halibut. Those are all fish that have a lot of omega-3 fats. And this is a fat that's really good for you, just like olive oil. But with if you're looking at like chicken and eggs, it's fine to have eggs a few times a week and chicken a few times a week, but you really want to be having a lot of protein in the form of beans, nuts, and seeds. Those are the best protein sources. So, you can have animal meats, but studies have shown that the less animal meats you eat and the more beans and nuts and seeds you eat, the healthier you are, the longer you live, the better your heart is, the reduced risk of cancer, reduced risk of diabetes, reduced risk of obesity. And so what you want to do is to try to eat beans, nuts, and seeds for as many meals as possible, and then fish, and then chicken, and then last would be eating meat. You want to do one more?
Yeah, Catherine, who's one of our new members just in this last hour, asks, are there legumes that are healthier than others?
Legumes healthier? Well, they all have a little bit of a different health benefits, but generally speaking, they're all really good for you, and I wouldn't say one is overly more healthy than another. In the Mediterranean, they definitely eat a lot of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. They eat a fair amount of black beans, but what I would say is instead of thinking of one healthier than the other, is to try to have a variety of different types of beans each week. Let's see. On your Mediterranean 30 program, so this is the clean eating program, there are bonus points for not drinking coffee. If I'm usually drinking one small cup of black coffee per day, is there a problem? I thought drinking coffee was healthy. So in our Mediterranean 30 program, again, it's a clean eating program. We do have people try, and this is just for a bonus point, try to take coffee out of their diet. It's not because it's unhealthy or healthy, because for some people it is healthy. For some people it can be an inflammatory. And so it's just a test to see how you feel. And, I understand that if coffee is like something that you really, really love, and they drink coffee all over the Mediterranean, this is just a little bit of a test to see if coffee is good for you. And so that's the only reason we do that. So I would say if you feel fine drinking coffee, you should keep drinking the coffee. Let's give away a book. And then we'll answer some more questions. And there's 20 more minutes before the registration for the portal will be closed so that you can't join one of the programs tomorrow. We also have, if you join the Mediterranean Diet Portal, you get a free copy of our Foods of Crete book, and it's a free ebook copy. And so that you can actually get as soon as you sign up. Again, ebook copy. And you will be able to sign up for any of the programs. So again, if you do sign up for the portal, make sure you also register for whatever program you want to begin tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to auction. We're not going to auction. What's that word? Raffle. We're going to raffle off a Foods of Crete book.
Should I explain the rules?
Go ahead. You explain.
All right, everybody. It's raffle time for a Foods of Crete book. What you're going to do is you're going to put a number in the chat between 1 and 60, and we're going to select the person who either gets the magic number first or is closest to the magic number. So try to get your guesses in the chat as soon as you get this message. We'll be raffling off another book too, I believe. So if you do miss your chance this time or you don't win the raffle, don't worry about it. You're going to have another chance as well. So I'm going to share the magic wheel while we wait for guesses to come into the chat. Just one guess per person, please, between 1 and 60. And also, I just want to shout out, we've had 20 new members now join our membership this week, and want to just give a shout out to that new group of people and welcome anybody who's on the fence to join us and start one of our programs tomorrow.
And should I do one more question while we're waiting?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so this is from Bonnie. How do I incorporate gluten-free into the Mediterranean diet, especially when it comes to whole grains? This is a great question. If you're gluten-free for whatever reason, the Mediterranean diet is actually really easy to eat gluten-free. First of all, there's all the gluten-free grains such as quinoa, polenta, which is cornmeal, oats, I already said millet, amaranth. What else is there? Buckwheat. Buckwheat is a surprising one because it has the word wheat in it, but buckwheat is actually gluten-free. Plus, there's tons of really good products now that are gluten-free pastas, gluten-free bread, things like that are really easy, make it easy to eat gluten-free. And they're getting better and better every year. Like I said, it's very easy. Trying to think, there was one other grain I was thinking of. Oh, rice, of course. Rice, brown rice, those are also gluten-free. So there's lots of choices. We have a lot of gluten-free recipes on our website. We have a video on this YouTube channel about gluten-free. And we have lots of videos. We have a lot more videos coming up, so you can also join or subscribe to our Mediterranean Living YouTube channel. Okay, everybody put their numbers in?
Yeah, everyone's got their numbers in. I'm just going to share the magic wheel now.
Dun, dun, dun.
And let's spin.
Who will be the winner?
All right, it looks like the magic number is 3 tonight. Let's see if we have any 3s in the chat. I see a 4 just came in from Andrea. That puts you at the closest, Andrea. So congratulations, Andrea. Just please email manager@mediterraneanliving.com so we can get your mailing address. I'm just going to post that again in the chat so you see it. But congratulations, Andrea. We'll send you that cookbook.
Awesome job. Okay, thank you, Winter. And we're going to do another one in about 5 minutes, another book. So you can also wait and enter in for that one. Also, if you are, I forgot to say this before with the books, if you're from another country besides the U.S., we will send you our ebook instead of this book because it actually costs more to send this book like to Canada than the book itself costs. And we're sorry about that, but if you're from the U.S., we will send you the book, and if not, we'll send you the ebook. Okay, so trying to think what else. This is an important tip about how to start the Mediterranean diet. And this one doesn't have to do with food, and it's about beginning the Mediterranean diet or the Mediterranean lifestyle. And the people in the Mediterranean definitely live differently than we do, but they're all things that we can incorporate into our lives. And one of the most important ones is that they naturally move throughout the day because they're doing things like gardening or building or things around their house, or they're walking, from one house, like they're doing a lot of community things. They might walk a couple miles to somebody else's house. And so just naturally moving throughout the day, they don't go to a gym, but they just move a lot. And this is really important part of their lifestyle. Another part, super important, and again, this is what we try to create at Mediterranean Living, is having a community of people that you can share food with, that you can share ideas and recipes with. And so a community is really important, and they've shown that having a community actually helps you be healthier and live longer. And another big lifestyle change, this is one that I'm always trying to do, is slow down. They spend a lot of times just relaxing, having long meals. We think that we don't have any time at all to be able to slow down. But I think if you schedule it, or just, plan a day when you just relax, sit in a hammock, go somewhere where you can just not worry about work or not worry about family, and just get away and slow yourself down. Same with eating slowly, really important for your health. All right, another question, Winter?
Yeah, we got a few more in the chat. So Peggy Wilkins, who just joined in the last hour, is a brand new member. Welcome, Peggy.
Welcome.
Said, several food groups cause me so much discomfort, I need medical attention. Tomatoes, onions, beans, and these seem to be used a lot. How do I work around this on the med diet?
That's a great question. So that sounds a little bit like a FODMAP type diet, FODMAP type issue again, where you're getting digestive issues by these certain types of enzymes that are in food. And so there's lots of ways to substitute or to just take out foods. So yes, there are a lot of recipes in the Mediterranean with onions and with tomatoes. Now, if you're okay with garlic, you can definitely take the onions away and you're fine. But there's also, I mentioned before, garlic infused oil. And with garlic infused oil, it's basically where you just put garlic into the oil and let the flavor of the garlic be infused into the oil. And then you put it in your fridge, and you can keep it for 4 or 5 days. And then you can use it instead of using whole garlic. And the whole garlic is what causes a lot of people problems, and they can use the oil and still get the flavoring. You can also, if you're going to cook with garlic and you have an issue with it, you can chop it just lightly, put it in a pan with the olive oil, cook it for like a minute, take the garlic out, and then you have and that's actually what they do in Italy a lot. They'll take the garlic out, but they still have the flavor of the garlic. Tomatoes, again, it depends what other things are an issue for you. Like if you're okay with red peppers, a lot of people can have like a red pepper sauce. Oftentimes tomatoes and red peppers go hand in hand as an issue. And so, but there's always substitutions, and there's always ways either to take it out of the recipe or just skip that recipe. If there's a recipe that has all of the issues for you and that's it, like it's a recipe for tomato sauce with onions and garlic, and I forgot what was the other thing? Tomatoes, onions, and
there is
well, whatever the other thing was. It's okay. Just and also the other important thing is you can just contact me. Beans?
Beans
Yeah.
was the other
Okay.
thing.
You can contact me and we can talk about it and figure it out. And a lot of people do that, and it's easy to figure things out. One of the great things about the Mediterranean diet is there's a lot of variety. So if one thing doesn't work for you, something else probably will. I think I'm done with my questions. You have more questions
great.
there?
Yeah, definitely. The next question is also, by the way, we're at 8 minutes to the sign up cutoff. So
Okay.
everyone,
8 minutes.
Yeah, everyone, if you're interested, sign up. You get to choose your path, the weight loss program, the whey program, the 30 program. Check it out in the link in description. The next question that I'm seeing is, what is the typical fiber amount in a day for the 1500 calorie program? Well, I think the fiber might be listed on the nutrition facts.
The fiber is not listed on the meal plan itself. It's listed on the on each recipe. I believe the fiber is listed. And so what you'll need to do, I don't have the exact amounts because it does vary a lot. Generally, it's very high in fiber. So unless you have an issue with fiber, you're not going to have to worry about it. If you have an issue with it, then again, I think you should contact me and we can talk about it and work through it and see if we can cut back. The only reason, there's a few reasons why you might have issues with fiber, having too much. And so, yeah, just give me a holler and send me an email, and then we can talk about that specifically.
Awesome. The next question is from Colleen, and she was wondering, does the diet/lifestyle naturally reduce cortisol? Lots of ads about needing to reduce cortisol. Thanks, Colleen.
That's a good question. Well, I am not sure about that answer specifically about the diet, but I do know about reducing stress and slowing down and moving. Those all reduce cortisol, and so that's all part of the Mediterranean lifestyle. But I will find out specifically about cortisol and the Mediterranean diet before our next live, and we'll put that up.
The next question is from Augustine, and they asked, if you can't eat everything at mealtime, but 2 hours later you are hungry again, is it wise to finish what you couldn't, or wait until the next meal?
That's a good question. So, again, I would say if you're so hungry that you feel like you really have to eat something, then yes, I would eat more of that meal, especially if you didn't finish it all to begin with. If you're just mildly hungry, then you might consider waiting, but you don't ever want to get to a point where you're feeling dizzy or lightheaded or again, like hangry. You don't want to ever get to that point. So if you're starting to feel hungry and you know your body, you should know yourself well enough, or start to know yourself well enough to know I should eat something. And you could either eat something from the meal before, or you could have like a snack, like a piece of fruit or some nuts, or depends which program you're into. But definitely eating from the meal before is fine.
The next question is from Sherry, and she asks, what would you recommend for lactose intolerance?
Okay, lactose intolerance. So, first of all, there's not a lot of, well, I guess there is some lactose in the Mediterranean diet. I mean, there's certain things. First of all, with yogurt, some people who are lactose intolerant can eat yogurt. So you can try that first. But if you can't eat yogurt, there's some really good lactose-free yogurts. And then as far as cheeses, there's certain cheese, like a extremely sharp cheddar cheese, like the one from Cabot. That one is lactose-free. You can, I can't remember how much lactose is in feta, but you can almost always get a lactose-free version of whatever kind of, like, especially if it's a cheese that's eaten a lot. So it's not really that hard to eat lactose-free. And you can also just cut those things out if you want. But there are cheeses and there's yogurts that are lactose-free. Or, like I said, the yogurt, some people can eat that even if they have lactose intolerance.
All right, thanks, Bill. We have about 4 minutes left. There are a couple questions more. Mona dropped a comment. She said, I love this program, been in it since June, have lost 8 pounds, which is totally surprising since weight loss wasn't my primary goal. The food is amazing and the support is as well.
Awesome.
So
thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
We just got a question come in from LoseMe88, who said, maybe someone asked this already, I came in late, but do you recommend farm-raised fish or wild-caught fish?
That's a great question. We did not get that question yet. So we definitely recommend wild-caught fish because the wild-caught fish has the omega-3s in it. And especially we want fatty fishes that are ocean-raised. And those are the ones that have the omega-3s, and the omega-3s are good for your brain, they're good for your heart, they're good for your body. And so when you have the farm-raised fish, you don't get much omega-3s. And so I would highly recommend ocean-raised. Okay, we have 3 more minutes.
Raffle one more time.
Oh yeah, raffle one more time. So this is the
right.
last book. We got about 3 minutes left, and then we're gonna go. And yeah, so one more Foods of Crete book, traditional recipes from the healthiest people in the world, and Winter's gonna walk you through that.
So again, to compete in the raffle, you're gonna put one number in the chat between 1 and 60. Just one guess per person, please. And we're gonna spin a wheel, and we will pick the person who either gets the magic number first in the list or comes closest to the magic number. And we'll just give everybody a second to put their guesses in the chat, and I will share the wheel.
Just realized that the last one was 3, and 3 is the magic number. Remember that
that's
song?
True. That's true. That was nice.
Yeah.
That worked out perfect. All right, we're getting some guesses coming in.
Any more questions while we're...
Not seeing any more at the moment.
Okay, everything's working out time-wise.
But as we wait for this last raffle, just a couple minutes away from the cutoff for the beginning to start programs tomorrow on Monday. So just check that link out in the description. This is your last chance for this week. But Bill,
if you're interested in, you've learned about the portal, but you're not quite ready yet, you can get on our email list. You can go to the main page of mediterraneanliving.com, and there's a list there about joining a newsletter. Right now we have 2 newsletters a week with recipes and information about the Mediterranean diet.
All right, let's spin the wheel. All All right, the magic number was 26 here. Let's see if any 26s were in the chat. I see a 27 from Sherry. Pretty sure, Sherry, you're the closest to the magic number. Yeah, it looks like you are. All right, congratulations, Sherry. You're the winner of the second Foods of Crete ebook. We will just have you email manager@mediterraneanliving.com so we can get your shipping address, and we will send that out to you. Congratulations, Sherry.
Okay.
Back over to you, Bill.
Well, I think we're done with questions, and I hope you got a lot of great information from today's program. And we're going to have more lives. Again, if you're interested in YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to sign up for the Mediterranean Diet Portal, we have about a minute. And so sign up with the link that Winter is putting on the screen right now. And so thank you very much for joining our program. I hope that you join our community in whatever way you can. And what I always say is live with purpose, love with abandon, and eat with